It's been about a month since the last earnings report for AbbVie. Shares have climbed about 10% and have outperformed the S&P 500. So the big question is, will the recent positive trend continue or is AbbVie due for a pullback? Let's take a look. If you don't know the story about AbbVie, the company's top-selling product, Humira, helped launch the share price after it split from Abbott Laboratories. However, those pesky and cheap biosimilars being introduced in Europe are gonna hurt Humira's sales soon. It will get worse when they're launched in the US market by 2023. The buyout of Allergen didn't help matters when the naysayers pounded the stock. AbbVie's shares plunged by about 30%, but the company has rebounded nicely since August. Despite many predicting the demise of AbbVie, the company is still alive and well. AbbVie released its third quarter earnings report on November 1st, and the company's results were solid. AbbVie's revenues of $8.4 billion improved 3% year over year, ahead of the consensus estimates. Additionally, adjusted earnings per share was $2.33, slightly higher than the $2.30 Wall Street expected. Unexpectedly, the continued dominance of Humira in the US is nearly offsetting the decline of its sales in Europe. Oh, and that Allergen deal isn't looking so bad. In the deal, AbbVie will inherit Allergen's products, including offerings in medical aesthetics, eye care, central nervous system, and gastroenterology. So the days of AbbVie's reliance on Humira are dwindling. Perhaps this is why, despite its struggles, it would be a mistake to ignore the big pharma company. But back to the original question. Will the recent positive trend continue, or is AbbVie due for a pullback? Well, let's take a look at the chart. We're going to be looking at two charts beginning here with the monthly chart that goes back to 2013 on AbbVie, and the symbol is ABBV. For disclosure purposes, I do not hold any shares of AbbVie at this time. And the important thing to take a look at here in the price chart is simply that bottom in August and then the subsequent rise. Now, that rise, some would say that's easy money. You and I both know it's not all that easy. I'm going to bypass the MAC for now and start here with the price rate of change, which shows a nice bottom and good strength running on up here. We're at a moderate negative 0.10, but it does show progress. We're closing on that zero line, so that's good. The RSI is at a moderate 57.34. It is above that 50 or midline, showing decent strength. Also, stochastics, same thing. Nice basing, nice run for that fast line. It's up near that 50 or midline, and the slow line will follow soon enough. Into the volume looks good, and then the Williams, much like the stochastics, nice basing, and then it ran up here, not quite into that overbought territory, but it'll be there soon enough. All right, back to the MAC. Now, I've talked about this in previous AbbVie videos. But the fast line here from this point to this point, that's a pretty big distance or difference. Now, it has closed in on that very well, so very good progress. But oftentimes, before it actually moves through, there can be a hitch or a hiccup. And that may be what we're experiencing here in the last few days. Now, the overall market is down, but AbbVie is also down. So there's a possibility that that fast line might get reflected down here before it can resume its upward trajectory. But that's what I expect. So this hitch or any pullback here, in my humble opinion, is going to be temporary at best. So let's go now take a look at the weekly chart where we can see that a little bit better. And moving to the 2-year weekly chart on AbbVie, the important point again, the bottom there, the top here, and you can see this rounding top here. I think it's going to be a temporary pullback. Not sure exactly how far it's going to go, but we'll talk about that here in a second. Let's first take a look at the MAC. There's a big difference here in the weekly between the fast line and the slow line here on the MAC, which means that the fast line can come on down and still have enough power to reflect back on up. It did not way back here because there was a lot of bad news. So things sold off all the way through August. Things are different now. Into the histogram, you can see that rounding and the slight pullback moving through here. I think it's going to continue a little bit longer, and that's kind of shown here with the price rate of change as well as the RSI. Things are weakening there. And into the stochastic fast line did come through the slow line here, and I think that's going to extend and maybe accelerate a little bit. But again, I think this is just a pullback. This is not going to be anything worse than that, at least as of now, and it does somewhat depend upon the market itself. Volume looks fine. And then the Williams 2, often the precursor to the price. This moved down below that overbought level here at -20. So I think it's going to continue on down here. But let's go back on up to the price chart and sort of figure out. Oftentimes, just rule of thumb, there could be like a 50% pullback, but that would be, say, here, maybe about 75 or so. My math may not be correct, but I would expect, just looking at this price chart, for the price to come down and maybe tangle with that 50 and 20 EMA here. So perhaps, at least in the interim, I'm looking for a pullback maybe to around the $80 per share level, somewhere around there. Once it gets to there, then you can take a look, see how fast that deceleration in the price was, and if there's any other bad news. But for now, that would be my expectation. But again, I'm only expecting a pullback. So those of you that are in this stock, you're going to have to take a look at your own portfolio, make your own decisions. But I don't think that the move in AbbVie is over. So for now, that's ChewDog Charts. Thank you.